Hey everyone, this video is about getting a sign in and sign out application running with Go and HTMX and using Gemini, the advanced mode, to help us get there. I've never really used HTMX before, and I wanted to get Gemini to explain to me how to do it in a step-by-step fashion and see how far we can get with it. The ultimate intent is to just have a sign-in, sign-out system and deploy it onto a Google Cloud Run so that it can be publicly accessible. Now, I did actually try a version of this video a bit earlier, but I kept getting interrupted with certain things happening around me, people coming to the door, and accidentally showing things on my screen which were personal in nature in terms of things related to my work and so forth. So what I've done is I've since gone through the entire process and recorded all the steps. In terms of I've saved the chat history that I had with Gemini. So what the intent of this video is that we're just going to go back through that chat history and replay it all through, and taking the step by steps as we go along, and just to show how far I actually managed to get with it. As you can see on the screen right now, we've got a username and password box and a sign in button, and this is ultimately what we'll end up with. And then when you sign in successfully, there's a little message that's displayed to show that you've signed in. So let's get into it. Okay, so, oops, I pressed the wrong button. Here we go. There we go. All right. This is my first video, so please excuse me. Right, let's get into it. So, the prompt I originally asked Gemini was, I want to build a sign-in, sign-out system with HTMX and Go. I got some of the way and then got confused, got interrupted, as I mentioned. So I basically said to it, let's start over. So it said, all right, absolutely, let's give a fresh foundation. We've outlined for some reason, decided to provide a simplified step-by-step process so that we can focus on the core concepts and avoid earlier difficulties. I'm not sure what they meant by difficulties, but I guess maybe it thought I got confused or something. So we're just going to start again. But basically, it's a very straightforward project. We've got the index.html and a main.go. Then it says to create your index.html file, which is super simple for those of you that have used HTML before, which I presume is most of you, and a very minimal Go backend. So let's get the project started. Over here, I'll just type in, make a directory inside my code folder, and we'll call it Go HTMX, for example, and then cd into that. And then we'll do, we'll create two files, so touch index.html, and we'll also create the main.go file. Oops. And we may also need to initialize this, but we'll get into that in a minute. So let's open up the code editor. And we've got here, let me just move this out of the way a little bit so it's a bit, it doesn't, can you see a little bit more. Close that out. All right, so let's have a look and see what Gemini is suggesting. So it's basically saying a pretty straightforward HTML file, paste that in there. And what do we got? A Go backend here. So we'll copy that and we'll paste that in there, save both of those files. Okay, so what does it say? We've got, all right, the explanation here is that focusing on the initial rendering and HTMX setup, there's no authentication. Fair. The target's auth content is the logged in value will be crucial, especially for dynamically updating a sign in and sign out state. Okay, so this div is going to be used for updating the state of our application and whether or not we're signed in. Okay, and there's no sign in form at the moment. We're just focusing on the foundational HTMX behavior. All right, I noticed that it's using version 1.8.4. I had the HTMX documentation open here, and it looks like the newest version is 1.9.10. So I'm just going to copy paste that in just because I want to be using the latest version at the time of writing. So let's just see what we get with that. Save there. All right. Now it says, what's next? So create and update the files of the code, done that. Navigate to the project directory in terminal and go run main.go. Okay, so let's open that. and we'll just do go run main.go. So the server is now running, and if we open localhost in the browser, we'll just copy that, and actually we'll close that page and create a new one, and then we'll paste that in, and we've got an empty screen. I guess that's the expected behavior. Let's see, you should see an entirely blank page. Well, yep, we got that, which is correct for now. Our index.html page is bare bones. Okay, great. And notice the empty output if you inspect the auth content div using the browser developer tools. Well, let's do that since we're in here. So we'll go inspect, and what do we got? I made this a little bit big, so there we go. Auth content div, yep, it's empty. Excellent. All right, cool. So displaying the basic sign-in form, create an HTML fragment for the sign-in form and display it in the auth content. That's what's next. Okay, great. So let's do the next step, I said. So now it's saying, let's add the sign-in form fragment and update your HTML to load it dynamically. Create the sign-in form fragment. Let's add a separate HTML snippet for the sign-in form. You can later place it in a separate file if you want, and add this inside your index.html within the body tags. Okay, so if we copy that, it's saying to add it inside the body tags. Okay, so inside the body tags. I guess that's not inside the auth content tags, I suppose. Well, I'll save that and see what happens. Just indent that out a bit, make it consistent. Yep, okay, and then let's update the Go handler. So in the add the sign-in handler to your main.go. Okay, cool. So this is our first function that's going to handle our sign-in statuses, I presume. And what's it going to do? It looks like it takes in a response writer and a request object pointer, and it executes a template index.html. Yep, that's the file we're going to provide it with 3 arguments: the response writer, the file, and nil. And if there's no error, then we do nothing. If there is an error, then we respond with a HTTP error. Okay, fine. So we'll just copy that. Then we'll go to our main.go file and just close this. So in the main.update the Go handler, add the sign-in handler to your main.go to serve this form fragment. Okay, so this is its own function, yep. And then within the main function, we then add HTTP handle func sign-ins, which we call the sign-in handler. So we'll just dump that there, I suppose. Okay. So HTTP hx get /sign-in will fetch the fragment when the page loads, and hx post will allow the form submission to the same URL. Okay, so that's on this bit. So hx get, so it gets the sign-in, the fragment content. Oh, okay, that's assuming that it's going to be putting it in a separate file, but it's not yet. So that's catering for that later on, I suppose. And post will allow form submission to the same URL. Great. So let's test. Okay, it even says the sign handle for now serves the full index.html. We'll refine this to respond with fragments later. So save your .go and .html files. Yeah, done that, and then restart the Go server. Okay, yeah, it is already running, so let's kill that and rerun it. And if we go to the URL, we should see the basic sign-in, sign-out form. So let's go back here and refresh. Whoa, okay, it's definitely showing. And it's smashing through all the content. All right, so I might just... Oh, okay, it's not actually loaded. This is happening in the background, so there's no actual active request happening at the moment. So I might just kill that and then come back to it in a second. So kill that. Important notes. Functionally, currently no real authentication happens, just form submissions. What's next? Now that the form loads, we need to add simple sign-in logic on the server. Okay, let's proceed. Let's integrate backend sign-in logic to make the form functional. Okay, so modify the Go handler. All right. Close this to make some space, and we need to have a look at this. So we create registered user, which is username and password to test and test. So let's do that. And underneath the templates, paste that in. And then might just make this user and pass. Yeah. And then it says in the main function that we need to create a welcome handler. It even says there's a comment. It's new. Cool. So let's copy that in. Paste that in there. Okay, and then it says so then the welcome handler is not defined yet, so we'll need to provide that soon. And then in the handler func here, it's saying that we need to. Oh, hang on. This looks the same. I can delete this bit. So we got, I'm pretty sure this is the same, but let's just double check. If I copy paste that. Yeah, it's the same. It's just indents that are different. So we'll keep going. And then, okay, now we've got a sign-in handler here. So thing is going, okay, if the HTTP request method is equal to post, then we set the username and password to these variables from the form. And then we check against the registered user's username. So saying, hey, if the user is user, we then check that the password is pass. Okay, and then if it is, then we do a redirect. If not, then we say it's invalid. Okay, that makes sense. So we copy that, and then we'll go to the sign-in handler here, and let's make some space and whoops. Paste that in, save that. Okay, serve the index.html like the same content as your regular handler. Oh yeah, so that's just what we already had. So copy that, and it looks like it replaces what was here before. So let's just paste that in. Yeah, it does. Okay. All right, and then let's not forget we need to do the welcome handler too. So if we copy that and then paste that here, we've got a little message, you're now logged in, just a text response, thanks for the comment. And then let's add a welcome message to the HTML. So within the index HTML, let's create a fragment to conditionally display a welcome message if logged in. And add this within the body tags. Okay, so if we go here, we'll copy that, and we go here and paste that there. Okay, that looks good. I'm not sure about this though. I'm not sure if this content is supposed to go in there. It looks a bit weird at the moment. Explanation. Go updates. Authentication check. If the credentials match, we redirect to welcome. The new welcome handler /welcome with a basic logged in message. HTML updates. Welcome target. The new .div will load from /welcome if a user is signed in, replacing the sign-in form in the auth content section. Okay. I think what's happening is that the auth content is like a placeholder section, so that when something changes, it gets the response gets placed in there in that div, which is initially empty. Okay, test time. Save your modified code, restart the Go server, and visit. Okay, so whoops, the server is not running. Oh no, yeah, no, it's not running. So let's run it now. The content is saved. So if we go here, localhost 8080. Okay, username and password. You are now signed in. Okay, that's not right. Why is it saying you're now signed in? Okay. I think there's a problem with it. Okay, so this is what, when I was doing this last time, I said, I think there's a problem with the triggers. The welcome message loads every time and the sign-in form is continuously loading. Is that still the case here? I don't think so. I might have done something slightly different this time around, which is very frustrating, but let's find out. So if we do user, but the message is still showing up every single time. User and pass and sign in. So nothing's showing up, but the welcome message is showing up every single time. So that's no good. Let's see what's happening in the logs here. Oh, I forgot to refresh. That's why. Yeah. Okay. So same problem as before. It's constantly spewing out tons of sign-in buttons. Let me just hard refresh that. Actually, I might just see if it makes a difference in a local host 8080. Yeah, you can see the thing's just disappearing down the side there. Okay, so that's still happening. Let's close that. What does it say? Okay, so I am right. I know. My apologies for the oversight. You pinpointed a conflicting trigger behavior. So looks like Gemini got itself confused here, but let's at least it can understand that it's made this mistake now that we've pointed it out, because we said, hey, we've got a problem. Can you help us? It says the conflicting HX trigger load triggers every time either the form fragment or welcome fragment loads. It has an HX trigger load directive instructing HTMX to immediately refetch the corresponding fragment again. This results in a never-ending loading loop. The solution is we'll refine the use of the HX trigger attribute along with some modifications to your Go handlers to streamline the logic. I like it. Step 1, adjust the HTML triggers. Okay, so in the sign-in fragment, remove HX trigger load from the form fragment. So this is the sign-in fragment, and from the form fragment, it's saying remove HX trigger load, but we don't have HX trigger load from the form fragment. Potentially it means this is this whole thing as the form fragment. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that. So let's just turf this code. And also remove HX trigger load from the welcome fragment. Yeah, that's fine. Let's turf that. The Duet AI is suggesting every 5 seconds. How about no? And then what have we got next? We'll add a different conditional trigger to later re-enable this once sessions are in place. Okay. Modify the sign-in handler and the welcome handler in this manner. Okay. So let's go to main.go. Actually, let's just kill the server because we're going to need to kill it anyway and restart it later. So in the sign-in handler, let's update the sign-in handler. So it says if the method is post existing login check logic. Yep. Else, assuming there is a get here for simplicity. Okay. So I think I understand what it's doing is that it's saying if the method is post, do this thing, otherwise let's move this block up. So it's saying we don't need this block anymore, but we're going to move it into here instead because it's now an else. That makes sense. And then I think what it suggests, if for those of you, in case anyone's not understanding this, I think what's saying is if the method is post on this sign-in handler, then we should do this stuff. But if we're not posting to the form, then it has to be a get, because right now we're not doing a post. So we're hitting the handler, but we're doing a get. So it's just continuously loading every time we do it. And I presume this also prevents the double ups happening later on. So if it's not a post, then we assume it's a get. And so we'll execute the template of index.html to show the sign-in form. And even Gemini's added a useful comment here to say, hey, assuming get here for simplicity, we'll check sessions later, but for now, just show the form. So it's saying, if you've hit this handler and your method is post, then go through and check the username and password. But if it's not, Then we can check in here later on, hey, are you signed in? Because maybe you're trying to do something else on the sign-in handler. I don't know what, but that you might be trying to do something else. But for now, we're just assuming that if it's not a post, it's a get. And so therefore, we need to show the form. So I hope that explanation helps. And then the welcome handler is updated a little bit by the looks of it. So it says execute the template and pass in is logged in true. Okay. All right, I see. So now we're going to be checking for an error. Now we're going to be checking for a variable. So if we get rid of, oh no, wait, not here. We'll just go here. So we'll save that. Simplified trigger behavior. We intentionally avoid unnecessary continuous loads whilst we address the authentication logic itself. Go handlers. Each handler now passes either logged in true or logged in false through to your template rendering. This helps render the proper state. Yep, fair. So step 3, modify the template. Okay, so let's check this out. So if we copy this code, auth content. Okay, so this is where the auth content div comes into it. So let's paste that into here, was it? Yep, let's paste that. Now this is actually wrong, but we'll find out in a minute why it's wrong. Because Gemini has confused itself, and I'll explain why. So it says we will use the is logged in value set by our Go handler to conditionally show the correct fragment within the auth content section. Love it. This is way clearer than before, I think. This reads a lot better. So I think even, are they saying show the form? Yeah, okay, save the code. So we might need to move the entire form, I think, because this is a sign-in form, right? It's like username and password. Yep, so I'm going to move this and paste it there. Yeah, still HX target auth content, out of HX swap, out of HTML. Yeah, so it's the same form, so we'll save that. So if they're not logged in, show that. Otherwise, show the welcome message. So we can now delete that, I think. What is it saying? Let's just go back to what we had and just copy paste verbatim, see what we get. Let's see. So I'll save that and then restart the server. Go run main.go and local host 8080. Okay, now we're getting this, and this is why I said it was wrong, because it looks like Gemini is confusing which templating engine it's using based on the language. So if we go back to Gemini, it says the HTML code, I said the HTML code didn't work because the open curly bracket and the percentage sign is being literally printed to the output, not interpreted as code. And Gemini responded saying that we've spotted an issue. It seems that your Go templating system isn't correctly recognizing the embedded syntax. There are a few potential causes for this. That's because the Go templating system doesn't use this syntax. It appears you are using Django-like style. Well, yes, because that was your instruction. So let's update our templates. So if we go down here, I'll just kill the server for a second, close that, and then we'll change these to be open curlies, and we'll close those with double close, and we'll save that. Notice also this particular templating language, now the highlights are showing up for starters, which is really good, but we've got to fix a few other things. So we've got to say dot is logged in if we want to make use of variables in our Go templating. And we also need to, we don't use an end if, that's very Python. Sorry, it's a very Django templating style, so close that. What else we got? Ensure you use the same syntax, yep. Different templating library, no, I don't really want to use different templating library, it's fine. Potential file extension mismatch, nope, that's fine. So let's save that and see how we go. So if we go, oops, wrong terminal. Let's go run main.go again. Come back to our page. All right, that's looking a lot better. We got to sign in, sign out. Oh, but now lots of things are happening every time I click it. I wonder why that could be. Thanks, that worked. But now when the form is submitted and the password is invalid, the form shows twice. All right, so maybe last time I was typing in the password and username in, but then submitting it and it was replacing it. So let's see if we can fix that. It seems that after an invalid form submission, you're ending up with the sign-in form duplicated in the auth content div. That's right. Let's diagnose this. HTMX's HX swap behavior. The issue likely stems from how HTMX's HX swap out of HTML operates. When your form is submitted and with invalid credentials, the resulting response, containing another copy of the form, completely replaces the content of the auth content div. This, in effect, appends a new form onto the already existing one. And the other scenario is that it's possible that the backend on failed validation might be re-rendering the page inadvertently with the form already included. So let's have a look at this. Let's adjust both the Go handler and potentially the way the HTMX response is processed to ensure that this duplication doesn't happen. So in the Go handler, modify the sign-in handler to only render the essential form section on failed logins. All right, so let's kill the server. What else we got? So close that main.go, and we go to the sign-in handler. So if the registered username and password is matching, redirect on success. Yep. Otherwise, let's log in. Let's log this with invalid credentials. So okay, so it's including an error message now. So if we paste that in, oops, I've copied that wrong. Let's see, close the interface and close the template execution. Save that. What else? What's this? Oh yeah, and then if I've got to include the if error is not nil. We don't need the return. Otherwise, show the form. So close that one, yep, close that one, yep. And then that one's matching up. So similar to before, yep, that's what we've got. And HTMX response handling, so backend is set up correctly. If your Go handler now responds with just the necessary form fragment, no other changes may be needed. Full page is reloaded despite changes. Okay, so let's see if that's actually fixed it. I'm not sure that it would, but let's just try. User and pass. Nope, that's not fixed. That has not fixed it. I'm wondering if this is this form content stuff is in the right spot. I don't know that it is. It feels wrong. Just doesn't feel right somehow. Like, why are we showing this twice? I'm wondering if I've copied it in the right spot. It feels like if we have a form and we're not logged in, then we should show it. So I'm just going to paste that there. And then I don't think we need this. Let's just refresh that. Oh, hang on. I need to kill the server. Force refresh. Okay. Yeah, that's better behavior. It is working as we expect now. So let's see. If we go. Oh, hang on. We haven't got our messages in here. So let's go back to Gemini for a second. Add an error if the error is incorrect, if the username and password is in. All right. So if there's an error, show it. Make sense? I like it. Copy that. And let's put it above the form, I reckon. They've put it below the form, but I reckon it, well, let's just put it above the form and see how we go. Okay. Test and tweak. Okay. So, oh, function endIf not defined. Oh yeah. Haha. Once again, it's given us the wrong thing. So let's fix that. We just need end. And let's fix the formatting because it's hurting my eyes. Go run main.go. Okay, no errors. So let's try that again. Refresh. And we just mash the keyboard. Hey, look at that. It's working. How awesome. And if we put in the right username and password, so user and pass, and press sign in, the form goes away. That's really good, I think, because what it's saying here is saying if we're not logged in, then this div. Otherwise, this div, which has nothing in it. And I'm pretty sure this is getting a making a get call to the /welcome path. So let's just inspect and see if we've got that. Yeah, cool. So this is working because we've got this div now showing and the form's disappeared. So something has started to work, which is amazing. Look at that. And we're what, a few minutes, 20 minutes into this probably? I don't even know how long this thing's been going for. What do we got? Oh, 30 minutes. Time flies when you're having fun. Okay, great. So I was like, well, that worked. Let's keep going. So now that the sign in and validation loop works, let's focus on introducing proper sessions. So first, make sure you have the Gorilla library installed. Now, I actually do have the Gorilla library installed. I had to do this with the Go mod, but let's see if we can redo it for the sake of the video. So if I just copy paste go get, yeah. So Go mod file not found, so we need to do a Go mod in it and then install it. So let's do that. All right, Go mod init Go HTMX, let's call that. And then paste, go get Gorilla, very good. So now we've got a Go mod with Gorilla and we've got a Go sum, very nice. And modify the main.go file. So we need to include Gorilla session handling. So let's copy that. I'll just close this for the moment and dump that in. And then what have we got? We need to create a new cookie store. Some very secret string, change this. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I like it. And then, so in the handler, we need to create a session variable, which is to get the session name from the store. So let's grab that and go to the handler function. And then we'll paste that in. And then we'll just we'll copy this bit here, which is to get the session values from the session name. Now they've done a shortcut here, and instead of creating this data object and then creating an interface with the various variables in here and then passing that data interface, they've just put it into here as like as an inline argument. I actually prefer this format. I think it looks nicer, so I'm going to go with that. So I'm just going to move things around to suit that. So let me just put that back over here. And this data thing is the same as up here. So I'm just going to get rid of that and put data. What else? So then we've got this bit. So we need to, okay, we don't need to have it twice. So let me do the error handling and then close that and we say else we want to redirect to the welcome. Redirect if logged in. Yeah. So let's see, let's just recap what this did. So we set up and logged in false. Oh, actually, that's a good point. Although this really shouldn't live there. It should probably live in here because we don't want to set that up if we're not going to use it. Just a bit of hygiene, I suppose. And then, so yeah, if the authentication from session values logged in could be cast into a boolean, and that was okay, and that was not okay, or there's no auth, then we're not logged in, basically. Otherwise, redirect because we're logged in. So that's just the handler section, and then we're going to do the sign-in handler, which is to set up the cookie in the first place, I think. So if the method, we got to do this as well. We could make this a global if we wanted to, for the sake of this demo, but I think we'll just keep going with what Gemini is suggesting for now. So session is from the store. We're just doing the same thing that we got from before, and then if the request method is post and the registered username and password and so forth, so that's this bit. Copy that out. And you really need like a horizontal scrolly thing there, or make the thing like wider so we can see more. That just could be because of the tabs of Go. The spacing size is 8. Let's see. So if the registered username and password is matching session, so we're going to change this bit. So set the values, save them, and redirect. So in fact, we only need to change these 2 bits. So I'll copy that and say, dump that in there. We don't need the return. Okay, everything else is the same. And then the welcome handler, I'm just going to copy the whole thing because I'm feeling lazy. I'll quickly explain it. So we've got the session, same thing as before, checks for if the is logged in is there. And if it's not logged in, then we can't see this route. We should get a forbidden, I think, which is a 403 from memory. It actually says it there, 403. And then the execute template will run, and it will say, hey, we're logged in, because it managed to get past this section, because there's a return there. If we didn't, and it will, it's doing this thing again where it's done the is logged in true, but I'm going to grab that example from before, just make it consistent. So we've got a data object, and mapping it to an interface is logged in. We'll set that to true, and then we'll delete this one and pass it the data. You can leave it as that if you want to. I like it. I think it's neater. It's a bit clearer as what's going on. So for example, the way I'm reading this is, here's your session, check if everything's okay, set up our data for the response, create the response, and send it. And that's how I read it. But if it's all in one line, you get a little bit lost sometimes. It's a bit harder to read, so I prefer it that way. And finally, we've got this sign out handler, which doesn't appear to be used yet. But let's keep going. So again, gets the source session. It says is logged in, set to false, save it, and then redirect back to the root path. Makes sense. Doesn't really have a error path because we're destroying a cookie. So, or rather, we're setting a session value to false, which can't really fail. So that's fine. So then what do we got next? Remember, add the sign out handler. Oh yeah, well, there you go. We just talked about that. So let's grab that bit there, and we will paste it to be alphabetical. Paste it there, and add a sign out link or sign out button in your index.html. Okay, so sign out. Well, there's no point showing it if we are not signed in, right? So this should go in the else. So I'm going to paste it in here. Oops. Paste that in. Okay, sign out. I've made the changes. All right, so let's see. if there's any problems. So it's saying, yeah, since sure, restart the server and stop the Go server if it's running. Sign in, check if you can sign out, observe whether you're currently redirected to welcome, navigation test, to manually navigate. Okay, so this is pretty neat. So Gemini is actually suggesting what we should do to test all of the code that we've written. So we can do that. Let's give it a shot. So let's do. We've got to start the server. So go run main. That's running. So step one. Save, yeah, restart, sign in test. Okay, so use valid credentials to try logging in and observe whether you're redirected. Okay, so if I refresh it, actually I'm going to hard refresh just in case. Let's go to the network tab, clear all that, and we'll go user pass, sign in. Cool. So see other. That's right, that's what we're doing, HTTP see other, and then we go to 200. So this is sending us to the welcome path. We don't have a welcome message yet, but we can fix that. But we do have a sign out link. Well, it doesn't look like a link, but that's because the contents is only shown as a HTMX. It's not an href, it's just an anchor tag. So if you look at the code here, we only have an anchor tag here with an hx get. So I won't underline it, but I think if you click it, yeah, it's going to sign us out. So again, we've hit the sign out route and we're back to the index route. So that sign in, sign out's working, which is awesome. What was next? Attempt to manually navigate to the welcome route as not signed in. You should see a forbidden message. Okay, so now that we're signed out, let's try it. If we go here and paste that. Hey, forbidden. Awesome, 403. There's that 403 we were talking about. Great. Although that's not really HTMX, that's testing the Go router. Sign out. We've signed out. This should clear the session. We actually have done that. So that was working. Address issues. So I think to clean this up, we should... for completeness, we should add a little message. So let's say we can add a message here. So we've got this error message object. Let's close that for a second. So we could do something similar with that if you like. We've got the error message when there's a invalid credentials. But what about if you're on the website and you've signed in? How about welcome handler? Potentially we could show a message here. So if we do add a key, say message, and we want to say welcome, you're signed in. Very good, save that. Okay, and if we actually, we need to show the welcome message as well. So we need to actually figure out somewhere we're going to show it up. So what we could do is in here, we could do if message, show the message. Oh, that's nice, let's put it in green for us. All right, so let's go back here. And I'll kill the server, restart the server. And we go username and pass, sign in. Welcome, you signed in. Hell yeah, that's working. All right, so now that we have this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to borrow some code that I wrote in a blog post earlier when I was testing out Duet AI's features to automatically build and deploy something to Cloud Run. So I haven't actually done this yet, so this is the first time running it. So in case it blows up, please don't at me. So if we go, I've now got to remember what the name of the project was. I think it was something like, oh, here we go. Here's all my thing you can see. So I probably don't want to do all of these. Gonna have to Duet web server, was it? Yeah, Duet web server. And then if we cat think it was, actually, let's just open it up. We can copy the bits that we want. So from Go, yep, let's copy that. And what else do we want? Probably the cloud build file, yeah. And we need to serve this, I'm pretty sure. Although it already is running. The service is already running, so we don't really need that again, I don't think. So what did we do in the cloud build file last time? Oh yeah, let's put this in. All right, let's see how we go. So if I'll just kill that and go gcloud run deploy. I think I'm just going to need to name this before I do that. Oh no, this is a cloud build thing, so we don't want that run deploy. We want gcloud build submit. We'll submit the root directory. Do we need to give this? We'll give it, we'll call this Go HTMX. Save that. Let's build it. So this is going to take a few moments, probably. If it's even successful, it may not be, but let's see. So just to give you an idea of what's happening, I'll talk through the file. I'll just make that a bit, make a bit of space. So on Google Cloud, Cloud Build is like an ephemeral build tool that you can use to orchestrate builds. And talking through this file here, we use the Cloud Builders Go package. It's a Docker file to test it. Actually, there aren't any tests. So build step 0. Yeah, there's no tests. So let's just delete that step because we don't have tests. So I'll retry it. Anyway, let's try again. So it uses Docker build. So we'll build an image and we'll call it, whoops, I've just realized that this is wrong. Although it might work. Let's see. So it's going to create a, oh, we cancelled it, yeah. Let's call this Go HTMX. Okay. It's going to run Docker, and it's going to run Docker build, and it's going to run Docker build with a tag the image with gcr.io/ the project ID, which is a variable that's available in all cloud build instances of the current project that the build is running in. And then it's going to push that image to the repository once it's been built. And then it's going to, okay, this is working because you can see it's installing Gorilla here. And then it's going to deploy it to, using the gcloud command line. It's going to run, well, we've named the step deploy, but it's going to go gcloud run deploy this image. This service is the service name. And it's going to use this image, which we've just built, Go HTMX. We're going to put it in Australia, Southeast 1, because that's Sydney, which is probably the busiest region in Australia, but there you go. The other option is also Australia Southeast 2 for us, but obviously wherever you are, if you're watching this, you can change that to a region that's more suitable for you. And we're going to set the platform to be managed because we don't want to manage it ourselves. You can use Cloud Run with Anthos, which is the self-managed version. And we're going to allow unauthenticated invocations of this application. So that means that anyone can invoke the Cloud Run service. You could remove this flag here if you wanted to. And that would mean that in order to invoke the service, you would need to be an authorized user on Google Cloud's identity and access management list for this particular service. But we want it to be publicly available. So yeah, let's see what happens. It looks like it's deploying it right now. Go HTMX is being deployed into a learning library app. That was another project that I was working in. Doesn't really matter. I mean, it's going to be destroyed probably soon anyway, or I might just leave it up for anyone else who wants to try it to see what we've built. So let's see, deploying a new service, setting the IAM policy, and we should be done in a moment. There we go, creating revision done, routing traffic, and in just a moment I think it should be completed, and what we'll get back is a load balanced HTTPS URL which has everything that we need to access the service and scale. So there's our, okay, updates are available, yeah, okay, fine, created, yep, that's the build, so it's a success, and we'll grab this app here, this app URL, and let's just paste it in here and see what we get. Hey, look, that's our app we just made, running live on the internet. And if we go user and pass and press sign in, hey, look, this live on the internet for anyone that wants to access it is available. And we can sign out. And if we sign in, discovered a bug. If we sign in without providing any username and password credentials, then it still works. So that's a bug we need to handle. Can do that quickly now. If we go over here and we say in these input types that's required, so we just add the required field. This is not a foolproof thing, by the way, but it will make the user experience a little bit nicer in case someone accidentally hits the sign in button like I did. Save that, and if we go gcloud build submit, it will try it again. So I will put in a revision up there, so we'll sign out. And let's just test with a username and password that doesn't work. Let's press sign in, and we've got invalid credentials. Awesome. So let's see. This will build and submit those changes, but we can also check it locally. If we go run main.go, and we go here, sign out, hard refresh, and we press sign in. It says now, please fill out this field. And if we fill out this field, but not the password field, so please fill out this field. Okay, yep. Sign in. Okay, great. So that we know that that's working. Let's go back to our other build. Okay, that's going through the deployment process now. So I think I'll end the video there. I'd love to hear if there's any questions. I'm intending to build this a bit further and add more features as we go along and just see how far Gemini can actually take us in terms of building an app. But it looks like so far we've gotten pretty far. In the bottom of the Gemini output that we talked about before, there's actually quite a few suggestions for what we can do for enhancements. Password security, so incorporate robust password hashing techniques, use a database so that it's not just storing username and passwords in text in your editor, and form validation. So we did a little bit of form validation just then with the required fields on these inputs, and sign out everywhere, for example, if you want to sign out on other systems, if you sign in on a few places, error messages, that sort of stuff. See where we go with it. But that was the first video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you've got any questions or comments. Thanks.